in here. All right. Good morning and welcome to Tea and Conversation Live this morning. Go ahead on and share and like with your friends. Good morning, Cal Jackson. Our weekly,
Good
can you
morning,
say that
Candy
early?
Lowe. Very good to be here with you
Yeah,
once again.
yes, good to see you this morning. Uh, I am so excited, not just because we're in February, History Month, going into the new year, and people are making all sorts of decisions for themselves. And I've had a chance to talk with a lot of people this year that are really interested in buying a home this coming year. And we know that a lot of people are coming from other areas. It is a fact.
Yes,
And
definitely.
Florida is just, oh my goodness, it's just growing and growing and growing. Definitely the Tampa Bay area. We have so many seniors coming to the area. Young people are coming to the area. When I'm out and about, I see so many young professional people, and they're looking for a home. They're looking for condos. They're looking for that special place, whether it's for the next 5 years, 15 years, or 30 years. You know, some people are just passing through, but I know that they're looking for the place here in the Tampa Bay area.
That's for sure. And we are prepared for them. I know a lot of folks who have been here a long time, like you and I. Some of them say, no, we're closed. We're closed for business. No one else can come because we do like how spacious and open Tampa has always been. But with all of the building and construction that's happening, get ready. We are absolutely growing as a city, and more people will be joining us from all over the country um, to enjoy all of the beautiful things Tampa Bay has to offer. Amazing restaurants, beautiful beaches, wonderful amenities in our communities, everything from swimming pools, tennis courts, basketball courts. There's so much time that we get to spend outdoors because while the rest of the country right now is dealing with that cold and snow, it feels like beach days here in Tampa right now in February. So you are welcome to come. And if you are planning to relocate, I hope they'll contact me. I'd love to help them.
Yes, definitely the warmest in the country right about now. Yes, yes, yes. Cal, where can people find affordable housing in Florida? I don't want to just leave it to Tampa, but in
Mhm.
Florida.
Absolutely. Florida's a big place. We are one of the biggest states in the union. And there is lots and lots of opportunity here, lots of land, lots of vacant land. I always like to start there, right? When people speak of affordable housing, Florida is still a great place where you can buy a lot of land and build your house from the ground up. Or some people don't even build a house. Some people go ahead and put a modular home or a mobile home on a plot of land. And that is an extremely affordable way. I do know that you can, even here in 2025, you can get a mobile home for as little as $10,000. Not to mention, there are RV communities, where if you are a person who likes to RV, if you're a person who likes tiny houses, there are tiny house communities. Um, and and all up and down the state, of course, if you go to our major metropolitan cities throughout the state, Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, it's going to cost you more money, right? Like any other state. If you're in the major city, if you're where most of the people are, it'll cost you more. But I like to remind people that often you can find things that are extremely affordable within minutes away from the city. 30-minute drive out, 20-minute drive out from the city. For example, here in our area, in the Tampa Bay area, homes are still very affordable in Ruskin, Waimama, Lakeland, right? Plant City. You can still get plenty of affordable housing in those markets. And so I would, and still be within minutes of the main city, if you will. So I definitely think
Mhm.
affordability is still good here. In fact, I did a search just recently, and you may not believe it, but there are still homes in the $40,000, $50,000 range available within Tampa Bay. Now, it may not be your dream home. It may be a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, or a 3-bedroom, 1 bath. You know, like most people want a 3-bedroom, 2 bath or larger. But like we talked about during last week's episode, if you are willing to start with a seed, if you are willing to start small, you can definitely get something very affordable. And there are programs to do it. There here in our area, we have organizations like Solida's House. We have the Tampa Housing Authority. We have people who are, of course, HUD. HUD Houses is a government agency that helps with finding affordable homes, and so tons of ways to do it. And if you're not sure how to do it, there's my number right here on the screen. Call me. I'll help you get into an affordable house. In fact, Candy, that just this past week, I had to post a picture because someone said to me, they said, "Man, I love your marketing. You go into these amazing houses. Look at who can afford that. Look, these are mansions." And I said, "Yes, I do market luxury homes. However, that's not all I do. I help people with tiny houses, vacant land, affordable homes, like, their first starter home, like a townhouse or something like that." So it really is, no matter what your need is, I can help you. And everyone's budget is a little different. What's affordable to you may not be affordable to the next person. So, yeah, I try to work.
Yes.
Each case is different. Each person is different.
Yes. As a matter of fact, yesterday at our business networking workshop, Jarvis and I mentioned your name and how well you
Oh,
market
thank you.
as a realtor, showing so many beautiful homes on your all your social media platforms.
Thank you. And shout out to Jarvis Elamine, my big brother. I appreciate y'all speaking my name in rooms that I wasn't in. That is beautiful. That is the dream right there. When you are mentioned places that you aren't at, that means a lot. And I definitely want to catch people's attention. It's easier to catch the attention of someone if they say, "Man, I love that house," as opposed to posting a bunch of fixer-uppers where it looks kind of junky, and you have a lot of work to do. So just marketing.
Yes. This is something that come to mind is because I remember being in this space. If you do not want to renew your lease, how does rent to own, how does that process work, Hal?
Excellent question, because I've been getting this question from lots of folks. And rent to own is actually a good opportunity for people who are kind of in between. What I mean by in between is, maybe you want to own a home, but maybe your credit isn't just where it needs to be yet, or your funding isn't where it needs to be just yet, right? Like you have it in your plans, but you want to start the process. You want to start getting to that, right? And so I work with a company named Divvy. There's another company called something of America, Home Partners of America. That's their name. I don't work with them as much, but both of them are very reputable companies. And one of the things that I recommend is, first, you have to know that you are getting into a leasing agreement, or you're going to be renting from a company. However, the beautiful part of it is that a portion, and usually you'll be renting continue to rent from about 1 to 3 years, but they will take a portion of your rental payment and apply it towards what will eventually be your down payment to purchase that home. Okay. A lot of times it's a nice option because it gives you a chance to live in the house. It gives you a chance to, kind of begin to care for this home as though it is your own. That's going to be the home that will be yours, right? And when you go into these agreements, you are actually locking in a purchase price. So they'll tell you if you buy it for example, let's just say the house is $200,000. In the first year, if you purchase it after 1 year of rental, they'll say we'll sell it to you for 205. If after 2 years, maybe it'll be 210. After 3 years, maybe it'll be 225, right? Because of course the home will continue to appreciate in value. And you go into the agreement knowing exactly how much the house will cost, right? How much time you're going to be renting before you go into the purchase agreement with it. And it gives you time to build up your credit, save up some money. And they're helping you with saving the money because every time you make a rental payment, that portion that will be going towards your down payment will be applied when you're ready to transition from the renter to the owner of that property. Now, I will tell you, it's not flawless. It's not a flawless system, right? There can be some dangers associated with this, right? For example, if you go into something like this, one, get a realtor, right? Make sure you want to have an appraisal or an inspection done of this property to make sure you're not getting into a lemon. You don't want to go into something, you're going to be buying it, but really you got to fix the whole thing up. One of the things I like about Divvy is they have very high standards before they will even put a renter in. They have, inspections done. They make sure they're putting you into a quality home. That's number one. Number two, you want to get an idea of what the property is appraising for, right? Like how much is this going to be worth or how much is it worth now so that you know that you're not overpaying for a property. And you kind of want to be now. Remember I said a portion of your rent goes towards the option, goes towards you being able to say, okay, I'd like to transition into ownership now. Well, if you never make that transition, let's say you agreed, okay, I'm going to do it in year 3, but you get to year 3 and you still haven't saved up enough money, or your credit is still bad, or, you haven't done the necessary steps within that time. You do lose that money that was supposed to go towards your down payment will just go to the company because you've technically defaulted on your end of the agreement. You defaulted on your part of the contract, right? And so that money that was supposed to be going towards your down payment could potentially be lost if you don't follow through on the steps. Now, I know that they do everything in their power to keep you in line because they don't want the house. They want to sell you the house. That's the end goal. The end goal is we're going to rent it for you for a little while to help you, but ultimately we're trying to sell you this house. Okay. And so hopefully, but as the young people say, sometimes life be lifing. And so if you're not there, if you're not ready, you may have to just say, okay, I'm going to let go and go on to another space or continue to rent somewhere else or whatever is happening in your life at that time. But it was a really great option. I'm glad you asked about that because I helped a woman purchase or do a lease option not too long back in Lakeland. And she loved that house. She fell in love. And it was to be honest, I was surprised how nice the house was. When I went out to inspect the home with her, big front yard, big backyard, very spacious ranch style home. I said, man, I didn't think you were going to get something quite as nice as this. And she really enjoyed that property. So when I spoke with her last, unfortunately, the end of that story was she didn't end up buying it because there was some damage that happened during one of the storms. The company still did right by her and put her into another property, continued to help her with the lease option. And so they just did all the right things all the way around, which is why I really liked it.
And going in now, let me ask you, because this come up a number of times for me when I was younger. If I don't want to renew my lease, how far in advance do I need to inform the landlord, the lease office, and when should I start? If I'm ready to start purchasing, and how does that process work? Because I know that comes up, it came up me as well. I wasn't sure, don't know how the process work. Could you give us a little bit on that?
Absolutely. That's a big one because far too
Mm,
many people wait until it's the last minute. There is a process to not only leaving your current rental situation, but a process to getting into a home if you plan to purchase one. You can't tell it is you're not going to get a home if you say, okay, so my lease ends in 2 weeks. I need a house. Nobody can do that unless you're coming to buy with cash, and even then, that's a very tight squeeze, right? But typically, just so the viewers know, it normally takes anywhere from 21 to 60 days to purchase a house, right? So it can take as little as 3 weeks, it can take as much as 2 months before you can actually purchase a home. And that's once you're under contract to buy the house. That doesn't include the time that it takes to search for a good neighborhood, find good schools for your kids, look for, a place that you actually want to move to, have your offer accepted by a seller. So I usually tell people, number one, the process for ending your lease, if you want to do the right thing by your landlord, you need to give them at least, at minimum, a month's notice. They usually are going to start asking you about 60 days out. Sometimes some apartment communities will ask you 90 days out. Hey, are you going to be renewing your lease? Are you planning to renew with us? Because they want to know, they need to know their inventory too. Are they going to be having homes? This apartment going to be available to people, or are you going to be continuing to rent? And if you're going to continue to rent, they're going to start talking to you about how much your rent is going to increase. Many people start getting notices 90 to 60 days out. Also, if you're going to purchase, I tell people, if you plan to, for example, you say, oh, I want to be in my new home before the kids go back into school, right? So here in Florida, schools usually let out sometime in May and go back sometime towards the beginning of August. And so I would say to you, you got to give yourself a minimum of 3 months. That's 3 months you need to make sure you start the purchasing process ahead of time in order to get into your home by the due date you want. So if you want to be in by Christmas, you need to start the process in early October, the end of September. If you want to be in before the end of the summer, you need to start by May so you can be in by August. If you want to be, that's kind of the time frame. It's going to take you a while in order to get in through the process. So just to give you a general time, checking your credit score, getting a pre-approval for a mortgage, right? Determining what your budget's going to be, things like that, right? Then weeks 5 through 12, those will be things like researching your neighborhoods, going out with a realtor like myself, seeing what neighborhood what neighborhood works for you. Where do you want to be? Do these schools work for you? Are there grocery stores nearby? Do you have the kind of entertainment? Are there parks for the kids? And then once you get into the weeks, maybe week 17 through 20 and weeks 21 through 24, that's the actual process of the purchasing, right? Where you're doing a home inspection, you're reviewing the title for property to make sure you're getting clean title. A clean title means there's no liens against the property. And finalizing your financing, making sure that everything is going smoothly with your lender, whoever the bank is going to be. Now, I do this full time, so I help my customers step by step. And even afterwards, there's a process, because once you get through the closing process, you want to make sure you have cable so you can watch TV. You want to have your utilities on. You want to make sure that, all of your things are in place. So it was a smooth transition from renting and being in your apartment or the home that you may be renting into your new property. And so, yeah, I think that was a wonderful question. So I hope that thoroughly answered that. But since you're off screen at the moment, I'll just continue by saying this. You know, lots of people are, we mentioned earlier that a lot of people are relocating to the Tampa Bay area. And with the amount of relocation that's happening, Tampa Bay is big. Tampa Bay isn't just the city of Tampa. There are lots of neighborhoods within Tampa proper, but then you have other outskirt areas that are considered parts of Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay goes all Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater. You have all of these other areas that are suburbs of us: Brandon, Riverview, Waimama, Sun City, Ruskin, Apollo Beach. I can go through a litany of names, but again, all of those are areas that you may want to consider, and it depends on where you're going to be, where you're going to work. So a lot to consider, but thankfully we have the internet where you can do a lot of research online. And besides researching online, you can always call a realtor like myself and get real detailed information about what your personal needs are.
Mm-hmm. And Cal, if you're wanting to relocate to the Tampa Bay area, what are some good places to consider buying a home throughout the Tampa Bay area? Because the Tampa Bay area is huge. Hillsborough County alone,
right,
like
is big.
Yes. So what are some recommendations on your travels throughout this amazing area?
So depends on what you like, right? Because I love Hillsborough County. I've always been in Hillsborough, but well, not always, because I did spend a little bit of time in Pinellas. Pinellas is a great county. So if you're relocating to Florida and you want the beach lifestyle, you plan to live on the beach, think Pinellas County, right? You either want to maybe be out in Clearwater, St. Pete Beach area, right? You want to be close to the water, that's going to be your neck of the woods. If you are looking for more city living, you want to live closer to downtown, well, then you may want to be in Hyde Park or Beach Park. Maybe you want to be in downtown Tampa. Lots of great condos there, right? Maybe you want to be in the suburbs. You don't want to be in the city. You don't want to be in the beach, but you're a suburban person. You want to be in the suburbs. There's Riverview, there's Lithia, there's all kinds of great areas throughout. Really, Pinellas County has a tremendous amount of suburban areas as well that you don't have to be right on the beach. And by the way, downtown St. Pete is fantastic, beautiful place. If you got some coin and want to live down there, you definitely would enjoy that area as well. But it's not just for the rich. You go a little further down, past where the Tropicana Field is, there are a lot of affordable homes right there in Pinellas County. And then let's not forget Pasco. As you go towards Zephyr Hills or Wesley Chapel, there are wonderful places. I was just out in the Wesley Chapel area this past weekend, and besides there having this venue called Crate, where they have these, nice restaurants and bars and stores, and they do like a weekly concert series with all different kinds of music. They actually have a wonderful place called B&B Theaters out there that I just became familiar with. Wonderful place. I met a sister by the name of Dr. Deneen Benjamin, and she not only hosts a weekly game night there, but they also have a comedy club within the movie theater and some other venues. They had a whole Black History Month event there. It was fantastic, so there are tons of things to get involved in all around the Tampa Bay area. So really, first you want to determine what's your lifestyle. Oh, I'll mention one other place. We don't want to forget that there is a whole military base here, MacDill Air Force Base. And so if you want to live down near MacDill, if maybe you are a active duty military person, or you're looking for areas that are military friendly, oh man, there's Tampa Bay is a military-friendly area for sure in the United States. Lots of military families, lots of places where they are hiring. They give preferential hiring. They have events for military families. They have all sorts of supports networks and VA benefits. And I mean, it's just Tampa Bay is amazing in how welcoming it is for families from all over. And so I just say, one of the things you want to ask is just really kind of start jotting down what's important to you, what's important to your family, because I would imagine if you're a young person, right? If you're young and you're hip and you just I want to be out every night, I want to be partying, right? Maybe a condo in the city is for you. But if you're a little more mature, and you're raising your family, maybe the suburbs are for you. Maybe a golf course community. There are lots of golf course communities out here too. Some of the folks who are avid golfers love to come to the Bay Area. So lots of choices to get involved with when you're relocating here.
Yes. And how long does the purchasing process take? And what would I need to do, or anyone need to do if they're wanting to buy before the end of the year? Because I'm hearing a lot of people talk about it. So if they want to do something before the end of the year, what does that look like?
So I say start now, to be honest with you. I'm always a fan of don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait, right? Because the longer you wait, market conditions change, right? Prices go up, interest rates change, things happen. And so if you are in a position to do it, don't procrastinate, do it. Go get your house. And you can make modifications later. You can make modifications to the home. You can make modifications to your interest rate. You can make modifications. But if you're in a position to get a home, go buy it. That's number one. Number two, I do think that, as I said, usually it's going to take you anywhere from, at minimum, the fastest I've ever seen a home close is 10 days. And that was with a cash buyer. Now, if you're moving from a place with someone who sold $1 million house in California and a $2 million house in New York City, and you got a boatload of cash and you're just going to come and buy your house cash, it'll be a fast process for you. It can happen quickly. But that's not most people. Most people are going to get a mortgage, right? And that process is going to take you about 30 to 60 days, right? And so I tell people, even if you started today, if you went out shopping today, and today I believe is February the 26th of 2025, you're likely going to be in your home until the end of April. Right. And that's barring any delays. Right. Sometimes delays happen. Maybe the seller had a delay. They can't leave because their house hasn't closed on to the one that they're moving into. Maybe there's a delay. Maybe the lender had a delay. There's so many different things and there are variables that come up. You want to give yourself plenty of window, plenty of time so you're not stressing out. Right. The worst thing to do is to feel stressed in the moving process or in the purchasing process. And one of the ways that, I tell it, like, think of it like going to work in the morning. If you give yourself plenty of lead time, it doesn't really matter that there's traffic out there. You still have plenty of time to get there. You're relaxed, you're fine, it's good. If you're trying to get there and you left yourself a 5-minute window and you're about to be late, you're beeping your horn, you're driving all mad, you're frustrated on the road, right? Because road rage comes from you're not feeling really prepared. You haven't given yourself enough time. And that same feeling can overwhelm you in the purchasing process. So I know that most people's deadlines are event-based, right? I want to be in before I start my new job. I want to be in my new home before the kids go back to school. I want to be in before the holidays, right? These are sort of the things, these are mental triggers. And so if you're thinking before kids go back to school, you really do next month, March, is your month to really start getting going. March and April, you need to be out looking around, what's going on, what houses are out there, what can I afford, have I been pre-approved, right? Start shopping. Even I told, and I think people don't really understand from our perspective as a realtor. So when you're shopping, we're just helping. We have earned nothing yet. We have not earned a penny, right? Once you sign a contract to purchase a house, we still have earned nothing. We got nothing. I tell people, so what, you signed a contract? That doesn't mean anything, because we still have to do an inspection of this home. You may find that the roof is about to cave in. You may find that there's a sinkhole. And then we're right back to the shopping phase again. We're going right back looking for another house. Okay. So, and even once you get through that, then you still have to make it through you got a pre-approval. We have to pray that you haven't done anything foolish along the way, like run your credit cards up or bought 2 new cars and ruined your debt to income ratio. So we still don't have anything until you are at the closing table. And even then, we haven't done a thing until those papers are signed and you have keys in your hand, because I've seen realtors get all the way to the closing table, did all of the steps, got everything done, and the lenders say, nope, we're not closing. They did X, Y, and Z. Or no, they're not. The seller changed their minds. They're not going to sell. I'm telling you. And now you're back to square one. So give yourself ample time, because if you're saying you want to do it this year, start now. Start now. There's nothing to procrastination gets you nothing but frustration. Wow.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's good information, because I know sometimes I know my realtor, she rode around with me for days. And, I never did think about it on the front end that she still hadn't gotten paid. She still hadn't gotten paid, but she was very nice, very accommodating, and very helpful.
Yeah. Yes. And you have to be, I tell people, I'm really here to hold your hand, right? Like, the process, it's daunting. It is a daunting process to buy the biggest asset you're ever going to buy, right? One of the biggest purchases you're probably ever going to make in your life is purchasing a home. You're not really sure what all of these papers say and, what is the process. So, and it takes a while before you make a decision. I'm there to hold your hand during that process. I'm there to hold your hand throughout the actual purchase. And I continue to hold my customers' hands even afterwards, because you would be surprised that she rode around with you for days during the process. But even after you get the home, you're going to have questions. Well, I'm just new to the state. Where do I get my electric? Who is the gas company? Why isn't there gas in this house? What do I do if I have a septic tank? Where am I supposed to go? It's a litany of questions that come with the purchase of a home, especially if you're a first-time buyer. And so I tell people, I'm your realtor for life. I don't just help you and ghost you. I'm sticking around all the way through, and then going to help you even after the sale. Especially since, one other thing I should mention, I'm hoping that, I spoke with a wonderful woman last week by the name of Tanya. And when you're thinking about buying land too, there's a whole nother set of questions that come with that. Is there a well on the property? Can I build on the whole property? Is all of the land usable? Is there electricity running to the property? Right? So there are varieties of questions depending on what you're doing. Are you buying a single family house? Are you buying a multifamily house? Are you buying a townhouse? What are the rules with the HOA? Is there an HOA? Should I have a home with an HOA? There are so many variables in there. So I think you really do need someone who is there, knowledgeable, taking this process with you. That's why I'm so grateful that you've allowed me to come on your show each week, Candy, because, They don't teach this in school. This is not something that you go to school, you go to high school, you go to even college. Most people didn't take no class on how to buy real estate. And this is something we all need. And so it's super important that you bring this information to not only the people, but your listening audience. So thank you for this.
Yeah, absolutely. This is another question that came in last week. We just didn't get a chance to address it. But see a lot of people are leaving Florida and selling their home. But if she sells her home, she's a little bit afraid that she'll be in a worse financial situation when it's time to buy a new home. And is that a good idea to expound on that?
Great question. Great question. I'm gonna take a sip of my hot tea before I answer that question, Candy, because that's an important one. Let me tell you this. So a lot of people get their home and they think, touchdown, made it. That's it. I'm good for life. I got one, and this is my home. That's it. I got one. I'm lucky to get this one, and I'm never leaving. That is not how real estate is supposed to work. Now, for some people, if that's your goal, you got one, you're happy. Kudos to you. I'm happy for you. However, you can purchase a home and it be what we call a starter. You don't have to stay in that one property for the next 30 years just because you got a 30-year mortgage. The 30-year mortgage just allows you time to pay a lower payment and stretch your payment out over time. Most people have a reason to move or to move in their lifetime multiple times. You may, every 10, 15 years, you may want to move. And some people way shorter than that. Every 2 or 3 years, they need to move, whether that be for better job opportunities, whether that be cost of living. Maybe that's, you met someone on a trip and decide that you're going to go live in another state. And Florida is a transient state, period. People come in, people go out all the time. So for those people who feel concerned about selling their homes, don't, because this is the piece I think most of them are missing. Over the time that you have been living in that property, you've been growing something called equity. The value that you bought it at is not the value you're going to sell it at. You may have purchased that home way back when at $150,000. But now you're selling that home for $300,000. Okay, so the value of that property has increased, and a good chunk of that money, that $150,000 in equity that has gone up, some of that money is going to go to you. Let's just presume after you pay all of the fees associated with selling the house, paying the realtors, helping with closing costs for the buyer, all the things that you need to do to move, you may have $100,000 to $110,000 still just sitting as a pile of money to you. That's just your money. And now, before, when you moved into that house for $150,000, when you first bought that home, it may have cost you, let's just say you put $10,000 down, right? Now you have $100,000 to work with towards your next home. So you have money that you can apply towards the purchase of a new home. That's the piece I think a lot of people fail to think about, right? Because they're like, well, how am I going to, because they think they're going to deplete their bank account, or they're going to have to come up with the money like they did the first time they bought. But no, the equity is your money to buy your next home. You're going to take the money from the proceeds of your sale, and you're going to apply a portion of it towards the down payment of your new place. That's number one. Number two, and the other question I often get with this fear of selling is, well, I have a low interest rate. I have a 2%. I have a 3% interest rate. I may not get that if I move again. You're probably right. right? The reason that you even have or 2 or 3% interest rate is, if you remember a couple years back, we went through something called a pandemic. There was an emergency. Something bad happened, and they had to do something dramatic like that to stimulate the economy. However, I will tell you that the interest rates aren't terrible now. Some people have a 5, a 6, a 7, and they can even buy some of those rates down so that it's affordable. You're not worrying so much about the rate. What you're asking, when you start talking about interest rates, you're asking about the payment and the affordability. Can you afford the payment? Can you afford to make the monthly payment on this house with the principal, interest, the taxes, and the insurance? Can you afford the HOA? Can you afford the things that you have that you are buying into? And in I would say 90% of the cases, the answer is yes, especially if you are buying after a sale. So I tend to specialize as a listing agent. I help people to sell their house, right? And then I serve as your buyer's agent, because I don't want to just sell your house and then have you homeless. I'm going to help you to sell this one, and I'm going to help you to buy the next one, right? And so if you have any apprehension about selling a home, trust me, you will be in often a much better position after you sell the property, and then as you go into your next property. Whether that be you're moving up to buy a larger home, or you're moving down to, kind of, because a lot of people, they're selling their homes and they say, I had a big house. I had a 4-bedroom, a 5-bedroom house. I don't need that. My kids are grown now. So I'm gonna downsize to something that's more affordable. And that's even more money in your pocket, because remember, you sold a big house and you're moving into a small house. So your payment will likely be lower, or it's comparable to what you had already. And then some people are moving into a bigger house. Maybe they started with their starter, they sold it, and now they're going to move up because they have a growing family. Not to mention, it's good for the economy to do this. Let's just talk about us economically as a whole. It is a problem for the American economy. Real estate is a huge part of our economy here in the United States, right? And when people aren't moving the product, they're not buying, they're not selling, they're not doing, it creates this sort of recession and fearful behaviors that we have in the economy, right? When you have a healthy economy, some people are moving out, some people are moving in, some people are buying, some people are selling. Like we kind of have to have, otherwise there's this stagnation. And I don't think that it's healthy when a large group of people are just saying, no, we're just going to stay. We're going to be here forever. We're never going to do anything. Because what often happens is they lose a golden opportunity for not only themselves, but for their children. Maybe they've lived there their whole lives and they're moving out. A lot of times these folks will pass their home on to a child. That child don't want that house. So they sell it. You thought, oh, I'm going to give this to my children. They're going to stay in this house. This will be our family house. No, they get rid of it almost immediately. And often for way less than what you could have sold it for, and utilize that money in your senior years to travel, for your health concerns, for anything that you may have needed. So don't be afraid to sell a house. There are a lot of good reasons to get out from under a mortgage, and not just that. Some people pay their houses off. If you have no payment on your house, in fact, the governor, I just posted this yesterday. The governor was talking about eliminating potentially property taxes here in Florida, because he's like, when do you ever own this thing? You paid off the house, you paid on the taxes, you paid and paid and paid, and when do you actually just own it? And so I think that hopefully that is one of the items on his agenda that I actually do agree with. I was like, it would be nice to eliminate the property taxes, especially at some point, right? I don't know how that works, but homestead exemption gives you some protection, but not all the protection. You are always seeming to be in a a renter situation if you always have to? You've been paying for 40 years. When is it yours? So I definitely hope that Floridians will pay attention to what he's talking about in regards to that initiative.
Yep, that definitely caught my attention. My mother's home is completely paid for, and she pays taxes every year. She just paid her taxes. So
yeah. I thought it was genius. I don't know how it will affect the other parts because, I don't know if then we're now going to get hit with like income tax or any other tax. I don't want that to necessarily happen, but if this is something that genuinely helps the people, I think it would be fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to go to one more thing before I let you go, Kyle. This is wonderful this morning. Always great information. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning. Go ahead on and share the video, like it, and absolutely subscribe to our YouTube channels as well. Kyle Jackson is a certified full-service professional realtor. And if you need any information, I posted it throughout the show. His number is 813-444-2691. Again, that number is 813-444-2691. And this right here always get me too, Kyle, is that we have a lot of veterans here in the Tampa Bay area. We have huge VA hospitals throughout. So I know that there's lots of veterans in this area. And also we have an Air Force here in this area. So we have veterans, we have military people. What is some of the options for the veterans and the people in the military in our area?
So excellent question. And first, Tampa Bay is a military area, right? Like you said, MacDill Air Force Base is fantastic. There are lots of communities all in around the MacDill area that are vibrant, excellent places to live. And I tell people, whether you are a veteran or active duty, Tampa Bay is a great place to buy real estate. Because of course you can use your benefits. You can use VA benefits. Almost every lender in the Tampa Bay area is big on working with VA buyers because you can use those benefits to your advantage. And we're just a very military friendly area. Great for families. Great for, like you said, hospitals. A number of VA hospitals here. Most of the businesses in our community have employment programs that are veteran friendly, right? And not only that, but there are, what do I want to say? Lots of, I just jotted a note. Bear with me one second. With regards to veteran friendly neighborhoods, there are also lots of jobs that are kind of with the defense industry. Like we have here in the local area, I know we have Raytheon, we have Lockheed Martin, we have Northrop Grumman, right? These are all military contractor companies that focus on, serving veterans, serving people who are active duty. So definitely, if you're anywhere in the country and you can get, if you can get based at MacDill, or if you choose to invest here, people are always buying here, especially if you want to invest. If you plan, you're still active duty and you say, well, I may get deployment to another city. It's still a great place to have a property and keep getting rental income as a property owner in the Tampa Bay area. So definitely, if you are military, you want to consider Tampa Bay, St. Pete, Clearwater. And I tell people it's a very, most of our suburbs are within reasonable driving distance. Now, as we grow, traffic grows, right? So I do get I have had a couple of concerns from some of my military friends about getting to the base, right? So you want to consider that when you are purchasing, because I've had some folks who purchased out in the Riverview area and the Waimama, Sun City area, and That's about 30 to 30 minutes away on a clear day. But when that traffic hits, it may take you about 45 minutes or so to get across town to get to the base if you have to be there. So you want to keep those keep, where you're buying in mind. If you want to be closer, you may consider South Tampa. That's a wonderful area to purchase in. Maybe Hyde Park or Beach Park, or Brandon is a little bit closer for a lot of military families. And not only that, but you can also find a lot of the schools here for your education benefits. They are very, very military friendly at schools like USF, University of Tampa, St. Leo University. All of these schools offer excellent programs for our active duty military and our veterans. So Tampa, if you are a military person, this is definitely one of the places in the country you would love to be. So, and I work with people who want to use their VA benefits all the time. And it's wonderful. I actually think it's one of the very best programs because the people who are using them, they're sure, it's not a guessing am I going to be covered? Now, I will tell you, there are rules, right? Because sometimes I will get some guys who they say, well, I want to use my VA benefits to buy vacant land. I have not come across any lenders that allow you to do that. So that's something you got to take up with the VA. You do have to purchase a physical property, and there are guidelines, right? You can't just buy a dilapidated house just because you wanted the land. Like the house has to be to standard, right? Like there are rules and standards that they have to pass a VA inspection. When the appraiser goes in there, they're going to be looking for certain things. They can't just buy a complete fixer-upper. So those are things to keep in mind as well. But the amount that they're giving for VA loans is huge now. And Tampa is such an affordable area. I have some friends who use their benefits, and I promise you, and not to mention, very tax friendly to veterans here in the Tampa Bay area as well. So they use the tax benefits and their VA benefits. I'm telling you, they sitting on mini mansions. I'm like, wow, you got this. This is an amazing home. So if you have lived in other parts of the country that can be a little more costly, and then you transfer your benefits to a place like Florida. I had a friend in New York City, and he showed me a house in Queens, New York, that they were selling for $2 million. And then I showed him a house that I was looking for a house in the area that was $2 million. And I didn't even see anything on the market that was that high. And they were, one was like a 9-bedroom. It was 1.7. So you can get way more house, way more land for your money here in the Tampa Bay area. Now, I don't think VA benefits don't go into the millions, but I do think they are in the 600,000 range. And you don't have to use all of it. Maybe you just want to get something, 300, 400. So you have a lot of options when you're using your benefits as a veteran. So if you are a military veteran or active duty, please do call me. I would love to work with you, no matter what branch of service you have served in. Thank you for your service. Yeah. Now, and Candy, I know that you're off screen at the moment, but I also just want to mention, you had asked about some communities. Now, there's lots of communities, by the way, but some of the most friendly ones that I hear a lot of military families move to are areas like Corey Lake Isles. Some of the younger folks like to be in the Channel, just what we used to call the Channel Side District. Channel Side District, which is where the cruise ships come in, and you may see new hotels like the Edition. Hunter's Green, if you're looking up in North Tampa, right? All of these are wonderful places. So, and of course, like I said, Brandon is still very viable. Riverview is very viable. And the MacDill area is very wonderful neighborhood, South Tampa.
Yeah. And Cal, I got to mention this. I had to take my grandson to tutoring yesterday to Huntington out in Fishhawk. And it felt like I
Fishhawk
was
is
going to a
great.
whole, it felt
Yeah.
like I was going to a whole another state. The
Isn't
drive
that
was
fun?
unbelievable.
Beautiful,
The
right?
traffic was much, but it was so many plazas. There's so many shopping opportunities, and I love coffee shops. And I think I may have seen about 40 coffee shops after coffee shops, all sorts of dining areas, uh, ethnic foods, very few chains. There wasn't a whole lot of chains, which I like. That I
Mhm.
like authentic type food. I like mom and pop type restaurants. So there was a lot of that out in that area. There's so many beautiful areas that people can just choose from in the area. And like you say all the time, whenever you do buy a home, purchase a home, you don't have to stay there for 30 years. That's not be the goal. It's to stay there for 30 years. And
Precisely.
you know, I just love all the great information that you give us on Wednesday mornings, every Wednesday morning, 8 a.m.
Thank you.
Cal
Thank
Jackson
you.
is our realtor, our contributor to the show, Tea and Conversation Live. Thank you, everyone that chimed in. Scott, Tanya, and Jackson, Artesia, Mrs. Jameson, Miss Chambers. A number of people jumped on this morning to get all of this good information. A lot of great nuggets for those that are looking to buy a home. You can definitely look Cal Jackson up. Cal, is there anything else you want to add to the conversation this morning? I do see that we had a couple technical difficulties there, but we'll go back and edit that and make sure that everyone gets all of the information. But you can join in with us every single Wednesday at 8 a.m. right here on TA and Conversation Live, and it's on all of our social media platforms that you can share it. Go ahead on and tag several friends all the time. DM the information, share the information. This is where you want to be every Wednesday morning, 8 o'clock, getting this information with my friend, Cal Jackson. Hey, you know what, Cal, I just thought about? We've been friends close to 20 years.
20 years. Don't time fly? Time flies when you're having fun. It has been since the early 2000s, and here we are at 2025, still rocking together. I can tell so many good stories about us, but I know time is limited, so I'm not going to do that this Wednesday. But I too want to say thank you, Candy, for not only continuing to be my friend, but for allowing me this opportunity to come to before the community, your platform, and remind people that buying and selling real estate is a wonderful way to create wealth for yourself and for your future generations. And I'm grateful for every single person who not only commented, I see all of the comments here, everyone who has called and reached out to say that they may want to do business with me. I'm open for business, and I need your business. This is not an easy business, just so you know. It is a challenging business, and so I need everyone from the community who would give me the opportunity to serve as their realtor to allow me to do so. I would love that opportunity to help you to buy, to sell, to invest, no matter what it is. Contact me directly. I'd love to work with you. And the only other thing that I would share is I just wanted people to know that this has been one of the most beautiful Black History Months that I've experienced in the Bay Area in quite a while. There have been so many programs. I did things in Wesley Chapel, in Tampa, in Riverview, in Brandon. I did things in St. Pete. I've been all over the place with different organizations, really not only showcasing how much our rich history is available, but giving opportunity for small businesses like myself to be out and show that, hey, we're here. We'd love to earn your business. So thank you to everyone that's tuned in, everyone that's chimed in on social media, and for all of the people that I've touched base with over this month. I hope that we can continue to be in touch with one another and do some good business together over the course of 2025.
Yes, yes, and yes to all of that. And thank you everyone for joining in with us today at Tea and Conversation Live this morning, I should say. And if you are just joining the video, go back and watch it from the beginning, get all those great nuggets. And we will see you next Wednesday, same time, same streaming, Tea and Conversation Live. Have a great Wednesday and happy Black History Month last week. I'll see everyone next week. Bye-bye.
See you next week.